National Electrical Code Section 230.7 states that conductors other than service conductors shall not be installed in the same service raceway or service cable. The key question is whether this restriction applies to junction boxes and pull boxes. The answer is no. Section 230.7 does not apply to junction boxes or pull boxes. The intent of 230.7 is to keep service and non-service conductors separate within the service raceway or cable itself. Junction boxes and pull boxes are considered extensions of the wiring system, not part of the service raceway in the same manner. This distinction is critical for understanding how to properly implement electrical installations. Service conductors are defined as the conductors from the service point to the service disconnecting means. The service point is typically the connection point between the serving utility and the premises wiring. The service disconnecting means is the switch or circuit breaker used to disconnect the entire electrical service from the building. Anything beyond the service disconnecting means is considered feeder or branch circuit wiring and not service conductors. The National Electrical Code aims to prevent mixing service conductors with other types of conductors within the defined service raceway or cable, as this could lead to potential hazards and confusion during maintenance or troubleshooting. Firstly, consider the physical configuration of a typical electrical service. The service conductors run from the utility transformer or source to the service equipment, which usually includes a meter and a main disconnect. The service raceway or cable provides a protected pathway for these conductors. Section 230.7 is specifically concerned with maintaining the integrity and separation of these service conductors within this pathway. Secondly, junction boxes and pull boxes serve a different purpose. They are used to facilitate wire pulling, make connections, and provide access for future modifications or repairs. They are essentially enclosures that allow for the joining or routing of conductors. While service conductors may pass through a junction box or pull box, the box itself is not considered part of the service raceway in the same way that conduit or cable is. Thirdly, if 230.7 were interpreted to include junction boxes and pull boxes, it would create significant practical challenges for electrical installations. It would be extremely difficult to route service conductors through any enclosure that also contains other conductors, even if those conductors are completely isolated and unrelated. This would severely limit the flexibility and efficiency of electrical designs. The code makes provisions for the use of properly sized and rated junction boxes, pull boxes, and raceways to facilitate wiring transitions and connections. These components are essential for creating safe and accessible electrical systems. The key is to ensure that all connections are made properly, that the boxes are adequately sized for the number and size of conductors, and that the wiring is installed in accordance with all applicable code requirements. The National Electrical Code also addresses the proper methods for supporting and securing raceways and cables. This is important to ensure that the wiring system is mechanically sound and that it can withstand the stresses and strains of normal use. Proper support and securement prevent the raceway or cable from becoming damaged, which could lead to electrical hazards. There are specific rules regarding the fill capacity of raceways and boxes. These rules are designed to prevent overcrowding of conductors, which can lead to overheating and insulation damage. The National Electrical Code provides tables and formulas for calculating the maximum number of conductors that can be installed in a given size of raceway or box. It is essential to follow these rules to ensure that the wiring system operates safely and reliably. Proper grounding and bonding are also critical for electrical safety. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, which helps to trip circuit breakers or fuses and clear the fault quickly. Bonding connects all metallic parts of the electrical system together, which helps to equalize the voltage potential and prevent electrical shock hazards. The National Electrical Code has detailed requirements for grounding and bonding, including the size and type of grounding conductors, the methods for making connections, and the requirements for grounding electrodes. It is important to understand and follow these requirements to ensure that the electrical system is properly grounded and bonded. Arc flash is a dangerous phenomenon that can occur when there is an electrical fault in the air. Arc flash events can generate intense heat and pressure, which can cause severe burns, injuries, and even death. The National Electrical Code requires that electrical equipment be properly labeled with arc flash hazard warnings. These warnings provide information about the potential arc flash hazards and the personal protective equipment that is required to work on the equipment safely. Firstly, the incident energy is the amount of energy that is released during an arc flash event. It is measured in calories per square centimeter. The higher the incident energy, the greater the potential for injury. Secondly, the working distance is the distance from the worker's body to the potential arc flash source. The closer the worker is to the arc flash source, the greater the risk of injury. Thirdly, the arc flash protection boundary is the distance from the arc flash source at which a person could receive a second-degree burn. It is important to stay outside of the arc flash protection boundary when working on electrical equipment. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is used to protect workers from arc flash hazards. The type of PPE that is required depends on the incident energy level. PPE can include flame-resistant clothing, gloves, face shields, and helmets. It is important to wear the appropriate PPE whenever working on electrical equipment that may be subject to arc flash hazards. Another key aspect of electrical safety is proper lockout and tagout procedures. Lockout and tagout are used to prevent accidental energization of electrical equipment while it is being serviced or repaired. Lockout involves physically disconnecting the equipment from its power source and locking the disconnect switch in the off position. Tagout involves attaching a tag to the disconnect switch to warn others not to turn it on. Firstly, identify all sources of energy that could energize the equipment. This may include electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, and pneumatic sources. Secondly, notify all affected employees that the equipment will be shut down. Thirdly, disconnect the equipment from all sources of energy. Fourthly, lock out and tag out all disconnect switches and other energy isolating devices. Fifthly, verify that the equipment is de-energized by testing it with a voltmeter or other appropriate test instrument. In summary, while Section 230.7 prohibits mixing service and non-service conductors within the service raceway or cable, it does not extend to junction boxes and pole boxes. These enclosures are considered part of the overall wiring system but not integral to the service raceway in the same context. Following proper installation practices, using appropriately sized components, and adhering to grounding and bonding requirements will ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation.